Welcome back to Four Idiots Who Think They Know What They're Talking About, aka the Intermat Wrestling Podcast. We're going to
I don't think I know
discuss.
what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. But we're going to get into the craziness that is wrestling this last week. I guess we should say maybe it's even been like the last 2 weeks where we have seen things on the international side as well as the college side that has just been insane. And I want to start on the college side with all these transfers where there was kind of a domino effect of Buchanan leaving OU and he's going to be headed off to Iowa. And with that happening, Glazer is now heading off to SDSU. And it's just been a domino effect of things. I think the first thing that really happened was Jordan Williams having his first strike under David Taylor and is now out at Oklahoma State and is now going to be headed to Little Rock. And then, Teamer also possibly heading to Iowa. That's the only one of these things that hasn't truly been confirmed. And then obviously the biggest, probably the biggest piece of news of Ferrari heading to California. So let's start with the Buchanan, with the Iowa-ness of all of it. What do you guys make of Buchanan leaving OU, where he didn't really even do much of anything, and is headed
he placed
to
third.
Yes, but like he was there for a hot second, is what I mean.
Right.
He didn't have like much of a presence there for a long time, right? Like he was at Wyoming where he was considered to be like the guy. And then he goes to OU where he's there, has a cup of coffee with them. And now he's like, I really like that color yellow. I'm going to head over here.
Whoa,
So
don't conflate prairie gold with whatever
I'm
Iowa's color tone is.
I mean, I believe it is. I believe it is gold.
It's not prairie gold. All right.
This
But
is
Prairie
true.
gold is the specific.
I take my heritage very seriously. I need you to stop.
It's like maize with Michigan. It's not. Yeah, it's very specific yellow.
Yeah. Hey, I get it. I get it. I will not sully the colors of the great state that has created Robbie. But what do you guys make of the move, right? Like it's really weird considering that the transfer portal has been closed for a very long time. With all these moves happening. So I'm gonna go to Robbie and see what he thinks, since he's bogarting the colors of his own state. What do you make of the move, and have you heard of how any of this stuff has happened?
So, do you guys ever watch Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Love it.
Where all the
Where
rules made up and nothing matters? Because
Well,
that's what it feels like with the transfer portal. Like
Yeah.
what is it even? Like, is it a real thing anymore? Because I don't believe it's open right now, is it?
Hasn't
But we
been for a
have
while.
Hold on.
we
In
have
order for
more
me
transfers.
in order for me to better understand this analogy, is this one with Drew Carey or the old British guy? Whose line are we going?
Drew Carey, and this is
The
a
OG.
new one.
It's better. Yeah.
Locked
Yeah.
in. Got it. Wayne
Yeah.
Brady.
Wayne Brady. Wayne Brady gonna have to Djokovic.
Chappelle Show, legendary forever.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. His exit from Wyoming was super ugly and very contentious and left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth. I don't think Coach Branch has let that go. It was kind of weird to begin with. He didn't seem like a great fit at Oklahoma. Clearly he did well, the All-American there, but he never really seemed to be the guy like he was at Wyoming. And I don't know how, going to Iowa now, where I don't know, half, 3/4 of the team is now transfers, potentially. I don't know if he's going to really fill that role there either. And, is it a significant upgrade? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, it's hard to know how anybody's going to do transitioning so many times between programs in such a short period of time. That's what kind of stands out to me.
We did see some transfers that were All-Americans 2 years ago that were not All-Americans last year in a very significant lineup in Penn State. So
Mhm.
transferring into a program you think is a bigger, badder superpower, we've seen it not work out. We've seen worse results for guys that have decided to do that.
And I will say real quick, just to jump in regarding, Buchanan's time at Oklahoma, that was a weird situation because my
Yeah.
understanding of it is he tried to go there to follow Ware, and then all of a sudden Roselli resigns, gets fired, is out. They have to get a new coach. There's a whole bunch of moves, right? So whatever he, I think, intentionally went there for, all of a sudden was very, very different in the aftermath. And you got to give him a little bit of a credit for sticking it out anyway, right? With the new
And
staff
performing.
and performed really well, right? I mean, he had gotten injured halfway through the year, or maybe 2/3 through the year, whatever, and obviously rebounded well enough to place third in a really, really, really tough weight. So I mean, as far as what you could really expect the guy to do for Oklahoma, he did as much as he could have done, in the short time there.
Yeah, because most
Um,
people probably expected him to leave when they hired Kish. And they were like,
mhm,
okay, now the portal's open. Guys are going to be, leaving one lineup, going to another. There's going to be a lot of transition, similar to what happened with OB taking the job at NDSU. He lost some guys to Iowa there, right? So
mhm.
we kind of expected for there to be some sort of turnover, like we also saw at Oklahoma State when David Taylor took the job, right? Like guys decide who they truly want to wrestle for when they weren't recruited by the guy that is now running the program. So I kind of expected Buchanan would be like, okay, this isn't the guy that I said yes to in the beginning. I'm going to jump ship now. So him leaving after a fairly successful year at OU where he was an All-American, it's even I shouldn't say it's crazier. It's a little bit of a head scratcher because you did have really good results, but in this day and age of transfer portal and kind of team hopping and the money with NIL that is potentially being passed around, which we're going to have at some point some transparency into how much is truly being spent. But like all those different things happening, you're just like, why? Like, why now? Like, did you not feel like you were going to be able to get over the hump at 97 at OU and impress upon your third place finish? Like, I just don't get it.
And just to like the academic side of it, I know that we're supposed to have, consider these guys student athletes. Um, but lots of places have already had class start. And
Didn't come here to play school.
yeah, but I mean, just the idea of getting into a grad program, and I know there's clearly exceptions made and all that, but just the idea of that, uh, at a very last minute thing being added to a grad program that, is a decent school, it's just kind of head scratching in that matter as well.
Yeah, the thing I don't like too is kind of, for lack of a better word, shadiness going on. Like you guys kind of mentioned before, he's not really in the transfer portal. Um, so what is going on here? Are the rules being broken and are we not enforcing them? Or are there rules that are maybe a little unclear to people like us that might be in the know a little more, because I have no clue. Um, and we're going to get to Teamer eventually too, but it's not just Buchanan, it's Teamer allegedly going there too, who is also not in the transfer portal, so I hate to pick on Iowa, but it seems like the ball always starts with them, having this illegal contact, whatever you want to call it, reaching out to guys and paying these guys, when they're not in the transfer portal, so I think it'd be different if they were in the portal. It's like, okay, yeah, they're going to Iowa. Okay, you can kind of see that chain there, but here it's a little gray and cloudy, and it opens up rumors to whatever you want to talk about, right? And that's the thing I don't really like about it either. It usually comes to one team, and are rules being broken? It looks that way. I don't know if that's true though, right?
Yeah, it's the whole transfer portal thing it's a big mess, right? Like
Yeah.
and they're trying to regulate it, they're trying to do certain things. Something that stood out for me, and I'm obviously a football fan, so I'm gonna watch College Game Day every single Saturday when it's on. But Nick Saban is now on there, and he said something that was like truly insightful about the transfer portal of when the transfer portal happened, you had guys that weren't satisfied with their playing time or whatever else, and they would enter the transfer portal and look for a better situation where they could go to a new school and start right away. And obviously, he's talking about football, but it still applies to wrestling because guys are looking for a better situation. But then NIL came in, and you had guys that were looking for bigger paydays, and to Saban's credit, now he can kind of speak on all these things. And he was kind of telling us why he's no longer coaching in college. But he was just like, now you have kids that aren't even thinking about going into the portal, but you've got these mouthpieces for the school who reach out to the agent, and the agent then says, hey, this offer is what's coming in for you to enter the transfer portal and potentially and go over here. Right. So like the NCAA tampering rules are super muddy, they're super gray. And with none of these guys outside of Ferrari truly being like the only real free agent in all of these moves, it's just like, how the hell is this happening at such a late point in the year where, as you said, Robbie, classes are starting? Getting into a grad program at any of these schools can't be the easiest thing to do if they are grad transfers. Like, I don't know. I'm pretty sure that Teamer has graduated from ASU. I know Glazer had been at Iowa for 4 years because he had been sitting for a couple of years. Buchanan, at this point, if he's not a damn doctor, there's something wrong.
Right.
He's been at 3 schools. Like, it's essentially the Van Wilder plan at this point. That's probably a really old reference that only we got.
Great movie. Yeah.
But like how are these moves
Peak
happening?
Tara
And
Reid.
yeah, very much so. How are these things happening, right? Where these guys are able to move around, and I know that we're not the only 4 people that are just like, wait, how the hell is this happening? And I know, I texted Willie and when all these things were happening, and he was just like, there's a lot of gray area, right? And him and I are probably going to have a call later on in the week where he truly explains it to me like I'm 5, because I do not get it. But more power to these guys. If they're getting the 500K offers, great, go make your money, right? And if you're getting 500K for 1 year, holy shit. First of all, from what I'm told, when these offers are sent out, it's more of like a contract where you're getting a certain amount of money that, basically you get a paycheck. Like, here's your paycheck for this month. Here's your paycheck for this month. So it's not like they're just like, here's a check for 500K, right? So it is different, and there's stipulations to it. There was a guy that was in the transfer portal before, and I found out with the people that he was talking with that his offer it was a very lucrative number, but it entailed him staying with that school past his NCAA career and representing that RTC as well. So there's a lot that goes into these big deals where guys aren't just from what I understand, it's not just here's your 500K for you to come here, right? Like, it is a monthly stipend. You are getting essentially a paycheck from, the collective or whatever the hell it is. But yeah, very, very much a head scratcher. But Jordan Williams to Little Rock, not all that surprising when you connect the dots of, who is the head coach at Little Rock.
I figured that would be his landing spot. I didn't quite see it happening the way it did, just kind of out of nowhere again with no transfer portal.
And that's the thing, is I don't
But
know if he's out at the school for being arrested. Like, he got arrested, another, I think it's his second underage or something like that, or DWI, whatever you want to call it.
Allegedly.
Yeah, I mean,
actually, maybe not.
maybe not. I mean, I saw the
I mean,
police report.
that's public record of that.
There's
That's a
public
real one.
record for that one. So that one's real. But like, I don't know if it was just like David Taylor said, you're off the team and that's it, or if the school was like, go free, you can do what you need to do and you're no longer part of this. Also, I don't know if he will be eligible this year either, because there wasn't a transfer portal. So him having like all the transfer rules that of him having to be in good academic standing and all this other stuff, like kind of doesn't exist if you're kicked out of the school. You're not in any academic standing for that matter. So don't know if he'll be eligible, but yeah, I mean, if you connect those dots, you can see, I mean, they're former Cowboy that, is certainly close with a guy who just coached Jordan Williams. You can connect those dots and so I wasn't too surprised that he ended up there. Um, well, let's move to the Ferrari business. What do we make of this? What are we thinking about him now in a new lineup?
I'm going to jump in just because, so just to provide a little bit of extra context, like, so with Blood Round, we followed Cal State Bakersfield a couple years ago when Manny Rivera was the head coach and Luke was there on staff. So got to know kind of how they approach things and learned a little bit about the Pac-12 wrestling. And it was kind of fun that year because they ended up having Russell Rolfing as a Pac-12 champ, as well as, oh, I'm blanking his name now. I can't believe it. He was 184. He won the Pac-12, which was Zahid's senior year, but Zahid obviously got suspended. My apologies. I can't believe I'm blanking on this. I'm gonna have to look this up in a minute. I had it the other day. Anyway, point being, I'm familiar with the program. I talk to Luke every once in a while. Anyway, he's been on Blood Round a bunch of times. And so when this rumors and stuff sort of came out, it was like, oh, okay, So I reached out to him, talked to him a little bit. I'm not going to share much of the dialogue back and forth, but like my point is, like, this isn't a hat I just got, right? Like this is what I've had because I love, I'm a big fan of Luke Smith, former Central Michigan wrestler. And talked to him several different times, not just about wrestling, about life, just catching up, hanging out. Good dude. I think that where this can be a real bonus is hey, more power to AJ. Hopefully he can get himself together. You don't have that much success athletically without having some dedication and commitment and work ethic and all the things that we, talk about that you need to have. Hopefully he can apply those positive traits to whatever he needs to apply it to personally to make the adjustments he needs to make there, right? I hope that the CSUB program can be there for him and help him out with that as well and allow him to get back on track athletically. So far, John Smith and company and Brands Brothers and company have not been able to keep him in check, right? And those are pretty high level dudes to try to do that.
With 10 plus coaches on staff each.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So I'm, the natural thing is to be a little concerned, not, for AJ,
Anyone that
frankly,
was going to take him.
But right, yeah, exactly. So, but I want the best for them and Luke and everybody out there and the rest of the team for that matter too. So I hope that they can all work together and are on the same page with what this is going to look like and how they're going to accomplish it.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at with that. Because
Yeah,
it's not like we can throw out another name and be like, oh, this guy is going to fix him, right? Because like,
yeah.
that's not
Yeah.
really how
This
this
is
works.
This is true. I mean, the only person that could probably fix him is Kale, and there is no way that his phone would ever ring with that number and name popping up on it.
This is going to sound super cliche, and I get it, but the only person that's going to fix him, right, is AJ. Like he's just got to get it together,
And for what he's showcasing right now, he's not being accountable for anything, right? Like, and I'm gonna give Piles credit. Like he says on their show on FRL, like if AJ has been accountable, right? Like we would all honestly be hypocrites to say that we have never. Did you just get the name? What was the name?
I didn't even have to look it up. Dom Ducharme.
Dom Ducharme. There you go.
Yep.
We would all certainly be hypocrites if we had never done something that we deserve to be forgiven for. right? Like I don't have anything nearly as close to what I need to be forgiven for that AJ has ever done. Never. But I've made my own mistakes that certainly I have been forgiven for from multiple people in my entire life. So for me to get a second chance, for any of us to get a second chance at any of it, yes, like we would be completely hypocritical.
Yeah,
And
what's
he
that like?
right?
Making mistakes.
Making mistakes. I know it's really hard when you're perfect. Not much wrong happens in Michigan.
No, pretty good here.
But I mean, let's call it what it is. Like, and to continue on with what Pyle said, like he hopes that AJ can just be a good wrestler, right? Like that there's no other problems that come from him being part of a collegiate program and on a college campus, right? And there's been a number of guys.
Girls.
That's what I'm saying. Like I am hopeful. This is all hopeful things that I want to see him succeed. I don't want to see anyone not succeed, right? I don't. And with that clip that Flow Wrestling put out, where Piles is literally giving him props and saying, "I hope that he learned his lesson," he tweets it and insults Piles like immediately, and it's like, I get it. Not everybody likes Christian Piles. He gets shit dumped on him enough, but like he was literally wishing you well. So even a person that you don't like who wishes you well, and you literally, the question was asked and answered. Did he learn some accountability? The answer right now in this moment seems like it is a hell no. So it's just like, come on, man. Like let's grow up a little bit, because the program that you're in, you have the ability to do a lot of good for it. Let's call it what it is.
Yes.
Like the Oklahoma State program, gonna be fine whether AJ Ferrari was ever in that lineup or not. Iowa, same way. Cal State Bakersfield is going to be a little bit different. You can certainly bring a lot of eyes to this program. Don't make them look like they made a mistake, because most of the fan base already thinks that they did. They already think that they made a wrong move by bringing you in. So prove them wrong in that aspect by behaving yourself and not acting like a child. The minute that it came out that he was already having a trip to Iowa, not a week later, he's already flipping off the fan base. So like, let's turn over a new leaf here. Let's still be a very good wrestler, but let's kind of be a better human, right? Like, I just don't get it.
But here's where there's another question though too, right? Because going back to Chappelle, like it seems like he's a habitual line stepper, right? And so like we're familiar with this, and it's probably going to continue to some, like we're not going to expect some completely different person,
No.
He's going to tweet some stuff, he's going to, showboat, he's going to talk some trash, and I think it's almost unfair, which is ridiculous to say out loud, and I'm kind of mad I use that terminology, but it's like it's unfair to expect him to be a completely different person.
It's not though.
It's really not.
It's time to be a fucking adult, and that's what.
Sure.
I'll go with it. Like it pisses me off that because he's talented, we're just gonna throw all this shit to the side and say it's not a big deal, and he can just act however he wants to. He almost killed somebody.
I don't know
in a
if
car
anybody
wreck.
said that.
But that's what we're showing him by allowing him to have 2 years to come back with no stipulations, no changes, him having no contrition for any of this, and just stepping right back in like nothing happened. And that's it's. I mean, maybe you're seeing it differently, but I'm not, because he has shown absolutely no remorse for any of his actions. He's apologized to nobody. He's apologized to neither of the programs that he sullied immediately. He didn't apologize to the person he almost killed in a car accident, driving like a dickhead. He didn't apologize to the woman who accused him of sexual assault. Like, there's so many things here that we keep stacking up and stacking up and stacking up, and we're just going to look past it because he's a good wrestler. And I can't do that. Like, I got to draw a line there. I can't get on with that one.
And I agree with you too. I do agree with it. I mean, and And for me, when I look at it and I'm like, okay, let's grow up. And, you know, we have seen other wrestlers that have completely screwed up. I mean, Chance Marsteller is
Mhm.
he's what you probably want every kid to be right now, right? He's what every man, you make a mistake, you go through it, you figure your way out of it. Seth Gross, same thing. When Seth Gross was at Iowa, completely messed up and, you know, turned into a model human being, right? Like, and when you talk to Chance, when you talk to Seth Gross, they're like, yeah, like that was a really bad time. I learned from it. Very, very stupid. They're remorseful. They apologize, everything. Right. And, you know, to the point now when you could probably look it up. I think it's within the last month where Seth Gross literally posted a video on his Instagram where it includes his mugshot from when he messed up.
Mhm.
So continuing to show accountability for something he did when he was a teenager now, and he's now a dad and in, you know, in his 20s, right? Like very big difference of a human. So Robbie, I completely hear you. Like, let's be an adult here. Like I am all for people being a character, being, talking some trash. God knows I talked my share of shit when I was an athlete, but let's just be a good person. Like I ultimately I feel like people are so wrapped up in wanting to be this grandiose figure because we honestly reward that in today's day and age. We literally reward people for just being idiots a lot of the time. And it's not something that I am proud to see happen ever. I would much rather reward the Chance Marstellers and the Seth Grosses for every single piece of remorse and fixing that they've done with their careers to get to the place that they eventually got to. Not the same person that decides to continue to be a character and never apologize and never learn his lesson. But as I said, if he shows down the line that he can have some humility and some maturity, great, because I would much rather talk about him as an NCAA champion and how well he wrestled, or an NCAA All-American and how well he wrestled in Philadelphia, as opposed to his criminal record.
Completely. I think that the point I was trying to illustrate, and I agree with you too, Robbie, but like, is just the guy's gonna tweet stuff. He's gonna do wild stuff. He's
If
not
that was the extent of it, then fine.
totally right. But like, that's the other thing too that I was gonna say, and I can't, if you asked me to guess whether or not he's made those apologies, I would probably guess not, right? But also, I probably wouldn't do it on Twitter. You know what I mean? For everyone to see if it was going to happen.
But he would.
What?
But he would do it on
But
Twitter for
okay,
everyone
fair
to
enough,
see.
fair enough,
Yeah.
fair enough. But I don't know. I think everybody. I want the best. I'm excited for the program.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what this is and what this turns into. And yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a huge gamble for Bakersfield, right? I think they know that, and you have to assume there's some kind of short leash on a guy like Ferrari, right? It's, hey, behave because you get one strike here, right? And but on the flip side, kind of what you guys are alluding to, it could be, a huge momentum shift for a program like that, right? That's kind of been a little under the radar. No one really talks about them much. They don't have great visibility. Now there's a lot of eyes on them, right? And they can look like geniuses bringing this Ferrari guy in and make sure he's tamed or whatever, whether it's his doing or not. But yeah, it could be a big deal for a program like that to like I think Holmes, you said before, get some eyes on them and start building that program up. 1 year at a time, get a recruit here because believe it or not, I think Ferrari still might have some fans out there that might want to be attached to him in some kind of way, whether that's a teammate or a fan or whatever. But yeah, it's a big gamble, and I'm hoping there's a short leash there, and we're not going to keep seeing these mistakes repeated because he keeps getting away with it, like you guys are saying. So that's just my assumption there. And off for the record, Claunch. I'm not a Luke Smith fan. He kicked the crap out of me when I wrestled him. But that's the past. I forgive him for that. So best wishes to him and AJ Ferrari here.
He's a tough dude.
Yeah, crushed me on top, dude. Oh,
it
God.
could, yeah, it could also go the other way, right? From a recruiting standpoint, where you have guys that are like, I want nothing to do with that program now.
Yeah.
Right. And I feel like that maybe that happened at Northern Colorado, where that was probably the first little bit of smoke that we had seen, where he had taken a visit to Northern Colorado and everybody was like, are you sure you did just get some negative flack for a guy having some shenanigans on the mat, and now you're hosting a guy that loves shenanigans, right? So let's
not the cheeky fun shenanigans either.
not the fun ones, So like I said, I ultimately, wish him the best. I do not want to have to keep rehashing the behavioral problems that he has had. I don't. I want to discuss this grown ass man at this point as a grown ass man who is good at wrestling. And that's what I want it to be. But I'm fine with the character. I'm fine with the trash talk. I'm fine with it. He's kind of a cringe human, but he's always kind of been a bit of a cringe human, and it just is what it is. But like, that's every time I've spoken to him, he's been respectful to me. I've had conversations with him before he was even at Oklahoma State, right? But like, I just want the best for him and any program that he's part of. I don't want because anytime he messes up, it's kind of a black eye on wrestling now, because we've continued to give him chances and chances and chances and chances. So I just want the best for him and Cal State Bakersfield. And I want them to get the right kind of eyes on them where they're having success, and his on the mat talent starts to lift the rest of this wrestling team up and have them see other guys have some success as well. So that's my thought on the whole AJ Ferrari thing, to be completely honest.
Undeniably talented, and has a lot of potential. Mm-hmm. But it's hard to see, and you guys are all close with multiple programs, and you see the room guys, you see the guys who are never making it out there on Saturday night and NCAAs, and they're working their asses off doing everything right and doing the right things, only to be overshadowed by somebody who's acting like a complete jackass and getting all the attention for it. And it's hard to sit here, as a dad, as a coach, and say that these things are okay, but they're not. And he's got to grow up. He's got to take that step as a man and do the right things. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say I wasn't a fuck up in college. I did a lot of dumb things. I hurt people. I got arrested. I mean, it's reality, right? But you learn from those things. You become a better person. You do better things, and you move on. And you hopefully empower the other people that you come in contact with to do the same things. So I would love to see him do that, but he's not showing those steps yet. And until he does, I'm not going to support it. I hope, best of luck for everybody at Bakersfield. I like Luke. I like that he's taking a chance with it, but I got to see something, some act of contrition, some step in the right direction before I could feel remotely supportive of it.
Yeah. And the mean tweets is whatever. I can give two shits about mean tweets. Like, it is what it is. Like, it is what it is. I can care less. But it was the fact of the matter of you were getting props from somebody that you were contentious with, and you couldn't even just say thank you, right? Like, or nothing at all, right? Like, you could have did that.
That's the best thing to say.
You know what I mean? You could have did that, but you chose not to.
I don't know why. Move on. This just made me think of
the Chappelle Show reference.
No, you guys will know this. He was a Lehigh guy. I'm blanking on his name, basketball player, but the "I'm trying Jennifer" tweet.
From, was that CJ McCollum?
It was CJ McCollum. Yeah, it was CJ McCollum. Yeah. Anyway, that'd be a funny response.
Yeah.
I got nothing there.
If AJ retweets this and says, "I'm trying, Robbie,"
Yeah.
No, more power to you. I hope you. I mean,
Yeah. I hope he is too. But
for
I
his
want to
younger
move
brother as
on.
well.
I want to move on to somebody that we all love, and that is Mr. Jordan Ernest Burroughs, and pat all of us on the back for it's a hell of a sticker. I wish I had one of those.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Pat all of us on the back for saying he hasn't put his damn shoes in the middle of the mat, as Mako said. I think that's what he said. Maybe there was an F-bomb in there, and I'm not throwing it in there.
It was, yeah.
Pretty sure, yeah. So
I believe there was.
But I love the fact that he's just like, you guys been having too much fun without me, right? Like I'll see you in Omaha. And it's funny because on the one show when I had texted Richard Immel and I was like, hey, when are non-Olympic weight world team trials? And he's like, nothing is set in stone yet. And then I asked a coach the next day, and the coach was like, it's September 14th and 15th in Omaha. And I was like, could have just told me that, but I get it. It's not set in stone. You guys got to release all these things. There's proper channels and stuff to go through. And you probably didn't want it to be released on a show like this. But when I found out that detail, I was like, there's no way he's not wrestling, right? Like no way whatsoever that he's not wrestling. But on the flip side of that, as we're all cheering the fact that we are not done, he's not dead yet, right? That Jordan Burroughs is not dead yet. We're losing Jason Nolf to the BJJ community. He announced today, which is Monday. This podcast will probably be out tomorrow or Wednesday. That he is going to be moving here to Austin, Texas, where I am, opening a wrestling club in Round Rock, which is like North Austin. It's like probably about 20, not even 20 minutes away from me. Maybe a little bit, probably a little bit further, maybe 30 minutes away from me. But he is retiring from wrestling and opening a club and taking Athlete Ocean, his company, with him here to Austin. And he's going to continue to compete in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Do you guys feel like it's kind of weird timing for Nolf to be retiring?
Not if he knew he wasn't going to do another quad. Like I was saying to somebody the other day, I can't imagine who would just, not want to try to compete in LA coming up. I mean, that's going to be a pretty cool thing to have the Olympics in the United States and to compete for the United States here and all the excitement that's going to be with it, and especially coming off the how great this last Olympics was. But yes, he's like, I don't have that in me. I'm done. It's time to make the change. And obviously, if he still wants to compete, like it's going to take a minute to get to transition to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu full time and whatever that looks like. So. Yeah, I'm surprised, but if he doesn't have it in him, he's not gonna. I mean, why hang out? This is too hard a sport to half-ass.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Do they have ankle bands in BJJ that he gets to lay out?
They do. I think they do sometimes. I think some events might go with them. I'm not sure. I can't remember.
At least we'll still have that then.
Yeah. I mean, he just competed in CJI. He didn't obviously win it. Didn't win the million.
But that's rough.
Yeah.
Neither did I.
Yeah.
There's a lot of letters being thrown around here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of letters in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Like there's now, CJI, there's ADCCs. Like there's a lot that happen. Yeah, like there's a ton. For me, I felt like it was weird with the non-Olympic weight worlds coming up, right? Like if you're going to retire, why not take a couple more months, right? And continue to train. Maybe, I mean, Kohler he did beat Burroughs recently at the trials. So in that regard, he could potentially be favored to make the team at 79. There is no Dake. So for me, I was just like, why retire now? did something happen, or is it just like I just don't have it in me, and even to do another trials is just not. I just don't got it. So for me, I thought it was weird in that regard, but if you don't
I
got it,
would
you don't got
guess,
it.
yeah, I would guess that that's kind of it. Just kind of ended the speculation that he'd be in Omaha. Just like, let's just put it out there and be done with it and move on to the next phase. I mean, if he's moving an entire ocean all the way to Austin, that's a lot of work. So it's going to take a while.
It's
Well
full of
done, well done,
athletes too.
Robbie. Yeah.
It's full of athletes too, and we're stubborn characters, as you know. We don't move. We don't do anything quietly.
If it was full of swimmers, it'd probably be easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's really into this grappling and jujitsu. I think this is kind of like his new, shiny object that he's really attracted to. He's had some unorthodox wrestling style. He's hitting crazy moves and things like that. So I think it fits him well in his style for wrestling. I think it translates well. And like you guys know, wrestling is freaking hard. He's wrestled his whole life. He's been so successful, and this is another thing that's wrestling adjacent that maybe not as hard, doesn't have to train as hard. He's always learning, new things. And I think that's part of the reason too. It's just something new for him to really focus on and start fresh in Austin. And, that's where everyone's moving to there now. And, yeah,
'Cause
I
it's
think
fun.
so I heard good comedy down there too. I got to get down there and get to a club.
And now there's
But,
going to be an ocean there.
and now, yeah,
Property value is going to go
yeah,
way up.
waterfront property too. But yeah, it just seems like it's a new thing that he's really into, and opening a club, which I'm not sure if there's many down there. Holmes, you would know more, but I think
They
getting a
need
big
it.
name like that, yeah, a big name like that, I think it's something a void he could probably fill.
Texas needs wrestling. Obviously there's no college teams here. Division One, I should say.
Not
Before
yet.
Grant Lee
Working on it.
sends his people to come see me for saying there's no college teams here. There's no
It's
Division
just going
One
to send a
college
neck
teams.
brace to your office.
That's the warning. You wake up with a neck brace and you wake up with a neck brace in your bed. That's how Grant Lee lets you know he's listening. But no, I mean, I think it would be really good to be here, right? And have that club in Round Rock. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it's awesome in Austin. It's why I left Pennsylvania to come back here, and it's gorgeous. It rained today for 20 minutes and then it was 99 again. So, can't really beat it. There's a ton of really good food, which is probably another reason why he's moving here, because I don't really have to worry about making weight too often anymore. The barbecue is awesome. But no, I mean, more power to him, right? Like Jason Nolf has always been super entertaining, and I think if he brings that type of entertainment value to a very big and growing community, the BJJ community, it's bigger than wrestling, to be completely honest at this point. There's a lot of people that gravitate towards it, a lot of ex-wrestlers obviously that gravitate towards it, but the fan base is huge because it's a global sport, and it's not like there's different styles. Certainly there's gi and no gi, but like jujitsu is jujitsu. You know what I mean? There's certainly different rules when it comes to gi, where you can literally choke a guy with his own belt. But like
It's awesome.
outside of that, like jujitsu is jujitsu. You go, you roll, you got to submit the guy, right? So like there's different leagues. There's a lot of money on the line. I can't remember there ever being $1 million on the line to win a wrestling tournament, right? So like I hope that he continues to win and brings that crazy Winn-Dixie into BJJ and turns it into an armbar and starts submitting people, right? Because that would be awesome to see Jason Nolf do. But
Holmes, do you know anyone that can fight that you can hook him up with start an MMA club?
there is a guy. His name is Randy. He's I believe he is Brazilian as well. We actually Mike
The
Mal and I
famous
used to
Brazilian name Randy.
Well, we used to go over to his gym. So when the flow office was on a certain street back in the day, our office was right next to the kickboxing gym. and they also did BJJ over there and boxing and
Wow.
everything else. And we would go over there. It would be like me and Bader and Mike Mao, a couple other people, and we would go over and wrestle like during the day. Just have like a midday wrestle, or that's where Mike Mao used to shoot behind the dirt as well as over at this gym. And I would go in there and do a little bit of boxing and hit the bag and, and stuff like that. So, it is in downtown Austin. So it's a little ways from him in where he'll be at in Round Rock, but he's moving to Austin from what he's saying. His club is just going to be in Round Rock, but yeah, there's actually not a bad like fight scene here. Really isn't bad at all. The gym is fairly nice, and I think the UFC has a gym here, like one of those UFC boxing gyms is also here, and so yeah, there's a good bit. I was looking into it because I don't kind of I'm not going to step into the cage ever again, but it's a good workout. So I was looking into it for a little bit. So yeah, it'd be really cool to maybe see him get in the ring. I doubt he's going to ever want to throw a punch. But you know, maybe that connection happens when he gets here, right? But I love, like I said, yeah, I would love to see him be super successful in BJJ and potentially win CJI or ADCCs or something like that, and take home a belt and $1 million, something like that. The only thing you really have to watch out for is there's not really any testing for steroids, so maybe we see a juiced up Jason Nolf.
You tell me Gordon Ryan's not natural?
I don't believe it.
He was a large human being when he came to the Flow offices. I was like, this dude is huge. Yeah, but outside of that, there's even more happening, obviously, at the trials where 70 kilograms is going to be very interesting because Yanni just got surgery, so he's out. Believe Nick Lee. I don't think Nick Lee is going to be there. I think he's done now too. He's coaching. He is now coach at Penn State. Zane obviously can't be there because he just wrestled at the Olympics, so no Olympian can wrestle at non-Olympic weight worlds. Plus, he is now the NLWC coach. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, James Green will be in. I'm sure Alirez will throw his hat in the ring as well, and Jesse Mendez, McKenna. So yeah, I mean, it's certainly going to be interesting still an interesting crop of guys, but a little bit more interesting that we won't see Yanni there. We could potentially see Jo at some point. I'm trying to set up an interview with Jo so we can confirm whether or not he can actually be there and wrestle. He just won his second MMA fight. And then I'm sure James Green will be there. The man's got a brand new hip. He only had one chance to test it out. I think that he's going to be there. What do you guys make of 70 kilograms with the potential field at, and we'll obviously do a more in-depth episode that does more of a preview, but what do you guys think of at least the updates that we've had so far with 70 with Yanni not being there, potential James Green and his brand new hip, and Jo coming off of a second MMA win?
But you can't sleep on Greasy. I mean, I know how I feel when I just get cortisone shot in my hip, and it's a whole new world. I can't imagine having a new one altogether. So man's got to be ready to go. I mean, he's shown how good he is at the weight, super well established, and now that he's healthy and has had a break and is ready to go, um, I like his chances.
I mean, I'm a homer, but you got to imagine Pantaleo has got coming back and has a legit shot. I mean, I think the last couple times he lost to Zane, and that was it. And then Zane beat the whole planet right after that. So it's
yeah.
Stands to reason he's like right there.
Yeah, he who did he lose? He lost to what, Mendez at the Olympic trials? Is that who Jesse Mendez beat? Was it Pantaleo?
Dude. I don't remember. I remember he won his first one. I thought it was like Seth Gross or something. Or maybe that was at the One of the
That was
other
at the US Open when
That was at the
he was like a takedown away. I remember watching, it was right in front of me. He was a takedown away from teching Seth Gross. Gross got a takedown, locked up a trap arm, and just rolled him over the mat and teched him like
Yeah.
Nick Lee
so
beat him.
quickly. Is that who it was? It was Nick Lee.
Nick Lee beat Pantaleo 9-2.
That's
Mendez
right.
beat Green
And then
6-3.
Pantaleo dropped out, right, because of the weight cut.
Yeah.
So being up at his
Yeah.
natural weight, I think he's going to look a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
He's a thick dude, man. He's solid.
Mm-hmm.
He's as wide as he is tall for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes
I
you
think
think
70 is
though.
going to be fun though.
Yeah, with McKenna being up there too, hasn't wrestled this high internationally, so I think, putting on that extra weight, not have to worry about cut would be good for him. Might be a little undersized, but could be good for him. And I heard JB still looking good, still doing JB things in the room, being up from 74 up to 79. He should be good, and makes you wonder because there were rumors that I think they were confirmed that Yanni was in Stillwater, last week or 2 weeks ago. Now he has surgery, so I'm not sure if he was out down there rolling and got hurt, or if he was hurt before that. I'm not sure if you guys know, but just interesting timing of being in Stillwater, and then now he has surgery. Probably unrelated, but just throwing that out there to the universe for you guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. I was surprised that he was there. A lot of people before the news that RBY was going to be headed to Stillwater, a lot of people were speculating it was going to be Yanni.
Yeah,
And I had people that were texting me and asking like, "Hey, like we're seeing that some some big time guy is going to be headed off to Cowboy RTC, and we're hearing that Yanni was just in Stillwater. Is this the guy that's going to be making that move?" Turns out no, it's RBY that is headed out there, which is kind of shocking because he has some MMA aspirations as well that he's talked about too. So
Right.
certainly see what he has in store for his wrestling career. But yeah, I mean, David said when he came in that they were going to be having an emphasis on the RTC. And with this move by RBY, it kind of showcases that. He also said that, Dayton was their main priority. And, the like I said, the move with RBY showcases the fact that the RTC is big time, and that he wants to have the best possible partners for Dayton too. So I love the move for RBY. Hopefully he can continue to progress because he did not look like the same RBY that we've known at the Olympics. And maybe it's the weight cut. Obviously the competition level is much higher, but yeah, that move could be a very good one for all involved.
Now the non-Olympic weight worlds, is the rule that no Olympians can go, or is that just a US rule?
I believe that's no Olympians.
Okay. I'm gonna say
Think
interesting to see if we see him up at 61, but we'll see.
Yeah,
Yes,
I don't.
it would make
I think
sense that
it's
no Olympians could go, but
yeah. I from what I had heard, it was no like Olympians can't go to non-Olympic weight worlds. It wasn't like a U.S. only type of deal where I'd heard it
gotcha.
came from that. And then other transitions at Nittany Lion, we just mentioned it, but Zane now NLWC coach. I think that's awesome for him staying with the program and becoming a coach of NLWC. I'm sure he's going to be working probably with Varner, who's the head coach of NLWC. And a lot of people were like, "Hey, what happened to that Wall Street job that
Yeah.
Zane was supposedly had lined up?" And it's like, I think that he'll take throwing on a pair of shoes and teaching technique over sitting in a Wall Street office any day. I mean, at least I would say that.
Maybe he
much.
just
Pays probably
watched the
pretty damn
movie.
close too.
Yeah, he probably just watched the movie Wall Street and was like, I don't know. I don't want this.
It was probably Wolf of Wall Street, and he was just like, no, can't do it. Can't do it.
That might be a little out of his comfort zone.
Yeah.
It's out of a lot of people's comfort zone. Still an awesome movie though. We've had a lot of TV references. It's amazing
Yeah,
that
we
we
have.
actually get work done with the amount of TV and movies that we drop. Um, but no, I mean, wrestling has been awesome. Just the news that has come out has been pretty incredible over these last couple of weeks. We're not even, I mean, we're still what, a couple months out from the season, and Earl and I had a good meeting today where we're discussing some of the content that we want to put out to preview the season. So Earl and I are still kind of fleshing that out so that we all get the good stuff and figure out what's going to be good content for all of us to be putting out. And obviously this show will be involved in that, as well as having our individual discussions about our different conferences that we're still going to be focused on, as well as just covering wrestling really, and having a bigger presence in the next year and into the next season. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. And the last thing I want to mention is just like a shout out to the U17 freestyle team bringing home gold. Um,
Yeah.
a couple of those guys winning titles. Monaretto being, what is it? Only the third, yeah, third. Yanni and Gable were the other two guys
And
to
Kurt
win two
McHenry, I
titles.
thought. Kurt
Yes, you're
McHenry.
right.
Yeah.
Kurt McHenry also won. So fourth guy. Um, so yeah. I mean, great job to them. It's always great when we see our young bucks kind of still causing some ruckus on the international scene, and hopefully it translates. And when we used to see Yanni and Fix and Gable and all those guys doing what they were doing, we always thought we're going to be in really good hands when they move up to the senior level. The old guys are still kind of kicking ass a little bit in that regards. We haven't fully seen it yet, but we've had Yanni with a world silver, and obviously Gable doing the things that he did, and Dayton Fix has also gotten a world medal too. So those guys have certainly lived up to at least a little bit of the hype. So hopefully the feeder program that we have continues to do that. But yeah, I was very impressed by those guys and girls, and we even had a Greco gold as well. So hopefully some of these things start to translate, and we can maybe keep the Greco in Greco and continue to prosper on that front. And so yeah, I don't know, I mean, that's a little bit of wishful thinking when it comes to the Greco program, but I was thoroughly impressed by each and every one of the guys that went out and won some medals and brought some hardware back to the United States.
Hey, speaking of Greco, and if we're finishing up here, can we finish on Bo Nichols' hot take about Greco? Did you guys see that?
Yeah, that was.
I
Or do we
didn't
not want
hear
to
it.
discuss that?
I
Yeah.
didn't even listen to it. I saw.
I
I
did.
think it was Kamal Bay had like replied.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
didn't.
he was
They
obviously
actually had a
upset
good
about
back
it.
and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
effectively, the take was, let's get rid of Greco because we're not doing well at it. Let's add 3 more freestyle, the men's and women's. So take those 6 weights
And he said the
and
rules were stupid because you couldn't
and
touch the legs.
touch the legs and take
kind of
away
the whole point of it.
the second bronze medal.
Yeah,
That
and
was the
let's
other
not
thing.
forget that Bo wasn't he a Fargo Greco champ as well?
He
So
was. Bo won
Yeah.
Greco a number of times, but the 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 take was super USA biased. It was
yeah,
we
it's like
it
soccer
was
suck. We suck at soccer, so let's get rid of it.
exactly right. Like it was like we aren't good at this, so let's get rid of it. And it was just like, no, it's not really how things work. Like I understand we have a very big pound our chest USA chant type bias, but like just because we're not good at I shouldn't say not good, just because we don't bring home medals in Greco doesn't mean we need to get rid of it, because when you truly look at the style, it is bigger internationally than it is on for us. So we just it's honestly equivalent to how we used to be not as good in freestyle, and we made it a point with our biggest champions. I mean, let's truly take a look at the things that Jordan Burroughs did to make freestyle as transcendent as it was. You see these guys that are retiring in their 20s. Jordan Burroughs is like, I'm still going, right? And it just like really locks in how impressive his entire career truly was, right? Like John Smith, very impressive, Rulon, very impressive, but like modern day where we have so many guys that are just like, I haven't accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. I'm done. My body can't take it anymore. And then you have Jordan Burroughs, who's just like, I'm good. Roll out the
Give me another
mats,
head wrap and we're good.
right? Like I'm good. So
Well,
props to him too.
the other thing too, we can't just start getting rid of things that we're not good at. We
Not
have to
good
get
at.
rid of things that suck, like breakdancing. So that's gone now.
It's gone.
And that's
That's
great.
a one and done. That's a
Yeah,
one and
we
done.
can say that thing sucks. Let's get rid of it. Like, you know, once at Olympics, and that's fine, but not Greco. Greco's too popular. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I I I kind of like what he said about the second bronze medal.
Yeah.
I never understood that, honestly. I never ever understood the second bronze medal. So
It was hard to explain to my wife, like how that worked.
I still don't get it.
Yeah,
I really don't. Because
Yeah,
no other
all for the
sport does
sake
it.
of saving like 6 matches.
Yeah. Yeah, no
so
other
we don't
sport does
wrestle
it.
all the way through. It's
So
weird.
I don't know. I have no idea, but yeah. Yeah, the bronze medal take, I think he's probably spot on with that one. Because I don't understand it and I don't know. I haven't really seen any other explanation for why we even have it.
You
But
would just have to wrestle the one more match, right? I mean, or
it's
rock,
really
paper,
it.
scissors.
It's really it.
Ooh, that's what we should do.
Or
Have a break dance
breakdance.
off.
I'll say breakdance
have
for
a
it.
have a dance off. Yeah, yeah, a bunch of very uncoordinated wrestlers in a dance off.
It'd be easy to judge.
Listen,
It wouldn't be far from what we saw in the viral one,
Right?
to be fair.
the
Reese
Les
Humphrey wins
Ginka,
again.
the Les Ginka is undefeated. I'll tell you right now. So anybody that tries to roll up on somebody doing Les Ginka, you're in for a serious treat. But yeah, I mean, I don't understand the other bronze medal. Somebody smarter than me, which isn't hard to do, explain it to me like I'm five. But that's one where I was like, okay, maybe Bo has a point with that. But the other stuff, it was just like, we're not good at this. Get rid of it. So no, that's not really how shit works.
That's how I felt about math most of my life, though. So I mean, I'm with them on that one.
I'm never going to use this. What are you talking about?
It's why I became a journalist. I don't use math. No. But yeah, the take was certainly hot. Him and Kamal had a pretty good back and forth. He said he respected Kamal, which I was surprised that he came back with that much respect when it came to Kamal in the first place, because we've seen Bo get into these back and forth matches on Twitter where he's just like, no, I'm Bo Nickel and I'm correct. Love him, but sometimes he does that. It just is what it is. So yeah, I mean, props to him for showing humility in that regard and saying, you know, I actually respect what you do. And if every single one of our wrestlers went out there and put it on the line the way you do and tried to throw some guy, you know, into the rafters, then I probably wouldn't feel this way. But I feel this way because we suck at it, and I'm not seeing the result that I want to see in comparison to the result that I'm seeing with women and men's freestyle. So is what it is, but it's constructive. It was a constructive conversation all in all in the end. But that's all I got. You guys got any other topics, any other head scratching moments you saw over this last couple of weeks where you're just like, what the hell?
I'm just interested to continue to see the fallout from the transfers at Iowa. We've already seen Glazier gone. Lots of rumors of others, Seabrooks.
I don't blame those guys at all.
No, not either. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that shakes out. I mean, there's something to be said for a team culture and what impact that's going to have on it. So, very very interested to watch that from the outside.
Yeah, I don't consider it. A lot of people say, "Oh, you're buying a team." I'm hesitant to say you're buying a team. I think, you know, it's more so guys are taking advantage of the NIL possibilities that are out there.
You got $2 million invested in the team. You're buying the team.
Well, I'm like I said, I'm I err more on the side of the athlete getting what they feel they deserve. Certainly, the programs are not innocent in that regard of dangling this money in front of these guys. But I also love the fact that athletes are like, if the money's for the taking, I'm gonna take it because
I don't
we
blame
would
him.
exactly. So, but we have seen that it's not always going to be you're not going to have a big ROI on it because Penn State, with all the teams that had all the transfers that they needed this year, Penn State still broke a record this year. Like, so if you're doing this to try and compete with Penn State, find a new avenue because this ain't it. And it is not going to work. Right. Michigan, they got a ton of transfers last year, didn't truly pan out for them. So figure it out somehow. And I'm not bad mouthing Michigan. I'm just saying they were probably at the top of the heap when it came to getting all those very high powered transfers in to their lineup last year. And while they had a pretty good result at NCAAs, Penn State still did Penn State things. And you have to think that all the competition that the coaches are putting in for these guys, it's not for second place. It's just not, right? It has to be to knock off the big dog. And if this is the way that you're going to go about it, you're going to lose a lot more guys than you gain with the money that you're throwing around. And Robbie, I'm with you. Seeing the fallout is going to be really, really interesting because already one domino has fallen. And I understand that the Iowa fans are probably like, yeah, get rid of the one that didn't produce and bring in the one that will. But if you continue to do that, you're gonna like recruits aren't gonna want to take you serious because they're like, am I gonna be there for a year and then you just bring in the next new shiny toy above me?
He did keep their streak of Big Ten finalists alive.
Very
It's
true.
almost like there's fairy tales that warn of these things, but what do I know?
Yeah.
Not everybody
Um,
has those Wyoming fairy tales, Robbie. We're all told the same stories.
They're different for
You
sure.
think that fairy tale made it all the way to Iowa? I doubt it.
Bigfoot's real, damn it.
I think the answer, and we just need to figure it out, is somebody needs to figure out the price point to just buy the Penn State starters. So they're not at Penn State anymore. Ipso facto, we got it.
I don't think they can be bought.
Hmm.
I think it's gonna be real hard to do. Honestly, that's a tough one to break into because they have guys in their lineup that are in their room, I should say, that are there just to be part of the team. And
That would be
and
starters and All Americans elsewhere.
like and I point directly to Donovan Ball. Donovan Ball has been Aaron Brooks' guy. He went with him to the Olympics. He's been his training partner forever. They are super close. Donovan Ball is an amazing kid. I love that kid. And I met him when he was in high school and he was doing so well and I couldn't wait to see what he was going to do when he got to Penn State. And I was like, man, I would love to see him in the lineup because I feel like he's super talented and could come away with all-American status himself. He chose the path that he wanted to choose of being part of a very high-powered team. I if these other teams were smart, they go after a guy like Donovan Ball. They go after him and they say, "Hey, look, money." Because Donovan Ball is in my opinion, he would have been a guy that could have done some really good stuff at a team like for a team like Pitt, right? Donovan's a Pennsylvania guy. Could have done some damage in the lineup at Pitt, and but he chose a different route for himself, which I don't fault him whatsoever. I do not fault him whatsoever. Every great wrestler has that guy that was behind him, that was pushing him, and that he could trust. And he is that guy for Aaron Brooks. And I love their friendship. They're like family. And I love everything that Donovan Ball has done for Aaron and everything that Aaron has done for Donovan Ball. But I selfishly, as somebody who thinks the world of this kid, like I said, that saw him in high school, I think that he could have done very well being in the starting lineup for any team out there. And I would have loved to have seen it happen. But
Well, we'll
ultimately
see
we
that
don't get a chance to see it.
with Barraclaw out at Utah Valley, right? He was a spot starter here and there for Penn State. Now he's elsewhere. If he makes the podium, that might, bring an idea to some of those second, third string guys in that room. Like, hey, I can be part of this championship team, or I can go do my own thing and make a podium and make another team better too. So we'll see. It'd be interesting how that plays out too. Utah Valley with Robbie's guy Adam Hall out there.
Love me some Adam Hall.
Yeah.
Very
he's an
excited to
awesome
watch
guy.
them this year.
Yeah.
Adam's great.
Be fun to have another program out west that can compete too. I think that's always fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they're
just put together a staff. They're going to be good.
Yeah.
I was going to say that staff and bringing in Barraclaw, a guy that is definitely All-American potential. I think there's going to be some more recruits that are looking at this and saying, I can go out here and do some good.
Also, Utah has a low-key solid high school scene that doesn't get a lot of publicity, but they've got some good guys out there.
Yeah.
A guy named Kale came from there.
He did some really cool stuff.
Also a Kyler.
There's a couple of them. Them old Sanderson boys.
Are they related?
Maybe there's a lot of wins with that Sanderson name next to it, so they could be related. I'd like to see what that system was like. But yeah, I got nothing else, gentlemen. It's always a pleasure. For people listening to this and watching this, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of this really stupid, funny, but sometimes ingenious movie quote type content. And see you again next time on the Intermat Wrestling Podcast.